The date was August 8th, 2017. I was finishing up my visit at Beech Bend Park and about to meet my family at the Beech Bend Park parking lot, when all of a sudden, my mom comes out of the car to give me some shocking news that would let me go to a museum and an amusement park that I never thought I would visit. Stay tuned as I tell you about my trip to the National Corvette Museum in Kentucky Kingdom, right here, right now, on the Coaster Scout Stories. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Coaster Scout Stories. For those who are new to this video and this channel, my name is David Sharp, and today I'm here to tell you guys a story about my visit to the National Corvette Museum and Kentucky Kingdom. Now this story is going to be a continuation of the story that I started off with Beech Bend, in the sense that this story is going to start where the Beech Bend story ended. So, as I mentioned before, I was recently exiting Beech Bend and about to meet my family at the Beech Bend parking lot when my mom tells me that the Skip Barber Racing School went bankrupt, and in doing so, my 3-day racing school at the NCM Motorsports Park was canceled. Now, at first, I wasn't happy about it. In fact, I was rather disappointed. I really wanted to test my skills out on the racetrack and see if I was a capable race car driver. But unfortunately, that opportunity would not come to pass. At the same time, I'm also thinking in my mind, hey, I might go to Kentucky Kingdom now. And before I was thinking about doing this in the racing school, I still had Kentucky Kingdom back in my mind, thinking if I had to do this racing school, it would have been a wasted opportunity to go to Kentucky Kingdom. But now that the racing school was out of the picture, I was able to give my family an opportunity to share my opinions of wanting to go to Kentucky Kingdom, and as it turns out, they were willing to help me out with that and get me to Kentucky Kingdom in the first place. As my family and I were driving back to our hotel, I told my parents about my experience at Beech Bend. I talked about my meeting with Charlotte Gonzalez and the park staff and the wondrous events that I had over that time. And at the same time, was willing to give them my insights, and they helped me out working things through in that sense. And I think later that night when I was in my bed, I think I landed on the bed a little bit poorly, and I might have herniated my back. I think from here on out, my back wasn't exactly in the best shape. I think it was a little bit painful, a little bit stiff, but I was able to manage through it. On the next day, my family decided to visit the National Corvette Museum first before we went over to Louisville, Kentucky, and going to Kentucky Kingdom. And at the same time, they also gave me the chance to actually see the National Corvette Museum Motorsports Park, or NCM Motorsports Park, with my own eyes. I think it was nice to see the track from a distance. I'd say I still had thoughts in my head, just wondering, man, it would have been nice to at least test my skills on there, but I'm not going to dwell on that all that much, because that was something I really should have just put out of my head. Just better luck next time, don't dwell on things like that. And that's, I'd say, the National Corvette Museum is a nice museum to go to and visit. I think one of the things that I enjoyed the most about it was you get to see the progression of the Corvette throughout its lifetime, I think from its first creation up until the modern day. In fact, it's kind of interesting because when you're looking at the Twisted Cyclone roller coaster announcement by Six Flags, it turns out those RMC roller coaster cars are very similar to the first generation Corvette, at least in the bumper front wise. But I don't know whether but I'm not gonna say it's a copycat or anything. It's a fun little thing to know and a fun little coincidence. It's a nice tidbit to know. Other than that, I'd say one of my favorite exhibits from the National Corvette Museum was the small Rotunda area where you had the sinkhole. If you are unaware of what happened, a few years ago, the National Corvette Museum Rotunda, the floor was then collapsed due to a big sinkhole underneath it. And unfortunately, there were several Corvettes that were crushed in the process. And I think nowadays it's all fixed up, it's all mended, it's all taken care of for. And as you go to the rotunda, you're gonna see small bits and exhibits of the sinkhole event. I think one of my favorite pieces is that when you're walking to it, you see these small little news pieces of the events. It's like you're actually seeing what actually happened during that time. And once you go through that section, there's another small piece where you have like this video type of thing trying to show you what the thing, trying to show you in real time the sinkhole, but not too much. It's like you have these countdowns. There's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it just shows little bits of rubble coming down. Unfortunately, I was a little bit disappointed in that one. I'd say I was hoping to see the whole event just fall through, like actually see cars falling down to where they went, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. That's all right. Excuse me. Um, Other than that, when you enter the rotunda, there's going to be these yellow markings that show the size of the sinkhole. And I think when you enter there, you also see the crushed Corvettes. Poor things. You see, probably there's like a small box, like a small mailbox around one of them. At the same time, there's also another part to the rotunda, with like a small window where you can actually look down and see how deep the sinkhole is. I did manage to get a picture of it, and even though the picture might not show it all that much, I'd say the sinkhole is pretty deep. I'd say it's pretty deep. I'll give it that much. Other than that, I'd say, I think after our family went through the entire museum, we had lunch over at the diner within the museum. If you're unfamiliar with the museum itself, is that when you enter the museum through the big doors, like the front doors, the dinner or cafe is going to be on your left, and when you exit it, it's going to be on your right. And here it has the 50s style theme where you're going to have these white and black style tiles on the bottom. You have these big bar seats and these big round tables. And that's it's like it's a good 50s themed cafe, so I do enjoy it the most. Other than that, I'd say this place has some pretty good things to have. You can have your burgers, your fries, your chicken strips, which is my personal favorite. And that we had a good lunch, and then from there we traveled over to Louisville and Kentucky Kingdom. I'd say I think I was driving throughout most of the time there, and say when I got there, I think my face lit up. It was amazing to see Storm Chaser in the flesh, I think with my own eyes. And for us, we were able to actually stay at a hotel that was about relatively close to the amusement park. And I think for me, I made a little Facebook post saying that in a change of plans, I've made it over to visit Kentucky Kingdom. As for me, I did manage to buy my ticket online, and turns out the hotel didn't have a printer or a business center. So in the dead of the moments, I was able to just sneak over to a couple of to like a hotel a few blocks down, and they were gracious enough to let me print off my ticket. That was nice. But I say don't try that at all. Say if you are going to do printing, I'd say just be careful with it. Just gotta be very careful with it. That's all I say. I think when I visited Kentucky Kingdom, I think one of the things that you're going to notice right away is that it's close to the Louisville airport. And in doing so, you're going to be hearing a lot of planes fly by, and they're very close to you. I think there's a lot of the UPS planes that fly overhead and your FedEx ones. You don't get much of the commercial flights over the amusement park, but you'll definitely see all of those cargo planes fly across. Yeah, for me, it was pretty easy to get used to the sounds and things like that. It's a fun thing that I noted. Other than that, I'd say the park has a small shop that says the Little Shop of Coasters. I think that's a fun little place for roller coaster enthusiasts. I did try to visit it a few times, but it turns out the place was closed for the entire day. Yeah, bummer. It's a missed opportunity. Hopefully I'll be able to actually go in there the next time. Other than that, I rode all of the roller coasters over at Kentucky Kingdom except for T3, the Vekoma SLC. I wanted to get on it, but unfortunately the ride was down for maintenance the entire time. And I know that those who have experienced an SLC would tell me that my legs are screaming for joy and they're not crushed by the restraints and the leg amputation, so to speak. But I know I was still disappointed. I really wanted to at least SLC experience it. I know I think the bad reviews have given me a little negative taste, but I'm doing my best to stay positive. Other than that, I'd say I was actually, like, as I mentioned in my personal favorite roller coasters of 2017 video, I stated that I was the first rider at Thunder Run. I think that was a fun little thing to experience. I'd say it was wonderful. I think this is the first time I was actually a first rider on anything, really. Other than that, I'd say Storm Chaser was down for about most of the time. I think when I went through Thunder Run and Thunder Run, Lightning Run, and a few other rides, I wanted to go on Storm Chaser, but when I got there, they had staff members and a human chain. I think they made me sure that I knew that the ride was closed, and I think there was multiple times throughout the day where I just went down, checked back, it's still closed, get down, check back, it's still closed, and there was a point where I think there was one point where I got up to there and was just like, wait, I'm just gonna sit here on the bench, just near the ride, just waiting for it to open. But then it turns out I wasn't having it, so I had to. So I just went around doing some more rides on Lightning Run. I'd say I thoroughly enjoyed Lightning Run, Storm Chaser. They're awesome rides. I'd say I'd say that I'd say other than that. It's kind of interesting how the layout for this amusement park is. I'd say this roller coaster, Kentucky Kingdom is actually cut in half by a big road, and there's actually one of two ways that you can cross it. You can do it by the crosswalk or by the bridge. I think for me, I didn't use the crosswalk as much because I knew I was going to be more of a hindrance to cars and I didn't want to slow them down. So more or less I used the bridge a lot. I think it's been walking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth so many times just to get to the places where I want to. And it's like a big climb, big climb, slow down. It's a lot of things like that. I think another one that I enjoyed the most was I'd say it's funny. I was able to get a picture of a couple of ducks. That was interesting. That was interesting to say the least. And sorry, I didn't forget about the Storm Chaser piece. Yeah, eventually I did get a ride on it. I think it was like right around like the late afternoon. It was when it reopened. I think by then I was just gleaming with joy, just getting ready to ride the RMC. And for me, I've enjoyed RMC a lot. I'm getting off track. Other than that, I think the way I finished my day at Kentucky Kingdom was actually watching a sea lion show, and for me, I did enjoy it a lot. I think the sea lions are well trained. I think they're pretty good performers. I'd probably say a bit more. They're better at performing than I probably have right now. And nonetheless. It was fun. It was interesting. I was actually able to get a picture with the sea lions sitting on my shoulders, so that was a fun time. I got a lot of footage for my channel and getting things done. Other than that, Kentucky Kingdom it's a wonderful amusement park. I'd say you should definitely go to there whenever you get the chance. I'd say, yeah, like Beech Bend, I'd like to go there more times. I'd say, I know I've gone through it once, but I'm more than willing to go multiple times if I have the ability to do so. And then I'd say the trip was nice. It was wonderful. I'd say it's kind of funny. I think when I went to Kentucky Kingdom, my parents actually drove me to the park, but when it came time for me to leave, it turns out I actually had enough time and space to actually walk to it. So, yeah, once I got out of the park, I think I probably just did a little bit more footage. And then once that was done, I just walked straight back to the hotel and back to the room. Nonetheless, those are my highlights from visiting the National Corvette Museum and Kentucky Kingdom. And in doing so, this will be the end of the Coaster Scout story. I do appreciate you guys' viewership. If you guys want to learn more about my full thoughts on Storm Chaser and Lightning Run and Thunder Run You can see that, you can get some idea of that with my personal favorite roller coasters of 2017 video. If you guys would like to hear more about my experience at Beech Bend, feel free to see my Beech Bend video, Beech Bend Coaster Scout story. Other than that, I'd say this is the end of my story of the National Corvette Museum and the visit to Kentucky Kingdom. And this is going to be the second out of the 3 videos of here. As my next Coaster Scout story, we'll talk about my experiences at French Lick, Indiana, and my small quick trip at Holiday World. I do appreciate you guys' viewership. I really do. It's amazing that I'm able to have 8 subscribers and get a decent amount of views on this site. I do appreciate all you guys' help and support. I do appreciate it. And nonetheless, this will be the end of this video. I will see you guys next time. Bye.